I figured now is probably a good time to film the intro for this vlog if I'm gonna keep doing vlogs. It's May 7th, so it's been a couple days since my last vlog ended. Currently reading. I am still working on Still Alice. I haven't really made any progress on this. I plan to read some today, this weekend. It's Friday, so we'll see. I mean, I work like 3 shifts this weekend, so it's not like I'm off. But I do plan on making some decent progress because I've read like a page since I filmed the ending of my last vlog. So yeah, hopefully more progress on that. And I finished Let Me Go by Helga Schneider, which was the audiobook I was listening to. It's a memoir of her life. Her mother abandoned her when she was 4 years old to become a guard at Auschwitz, and this is about when she's in her 60s and her mother is in her 90s and ailing and in an assisted care facility. And it's kind of just like, you know, her trying to see if there is any relationship there, who her mother is, because she's only seen her twice since she was 4. I gave it 3 stars. It was kind of like okay, but not, I don't know, it lacked purpose. Like, there needed to be some point to the story, and there really wasn't a point. It was kind of just like, here's me meeting my mother again, and she was kind of an awful person before, and she's an awful person now. I'm stir-frying some cabbage over here. You can hear the sizzling. I'm sorry. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it was fine. Like, it was interesting enough, and like, there just really wasn't much to the book. She didn't really have any sort of relationship with her mother. She wasn't really looking to have a relationship with her mother. She wasn't really looking for more information. Like, it just, there was no purpose to it, and it kind of felt a little bit hollow because of that. But I don't know, it was fine. Like, if you're interested in that kind of thing, I'd say go ahead and give it a shot, because it's not like it was bad in any way. It's just like, it didn't do a whole lot for me as a reader. So there's that. And then I started listening to Heavy by Kiyase Laymen, which is another memoir. It's a lot about his childhood growing up in Mississippi in the 80s as a black boy, and he discusses his weight a lot and sexual abuse and physical abuse and just a lot of his childhood. And I'm not super far into that one, like maybe an hour or 2. But so far, I'm really enjoying that. It was compared to Hunger by Roxane Gay, and I don't know. I think Hunger was more well written and more like, Hunger hit me harder. Like, even an hour or 2 hours in, Hunger by Roxane Gay. I read this last year when I was like not updating on YouTube. But Hunger hit me really hard and was just like, such a powerful book, I felt. And this is too, like, this is a great book, don't get me wrong. Like, it's probably going to be 4 stars, but I just think Hunger was like that little bit better. And I don't think that's a thought I would be having had they not compared it to Hunger in the description that I read, which is kind of unfortunate, and I'm not the biggest fan when they do that. But yeah, so far it's really interesting, and I'm kind of excited to see where it goes. And he's written a couple of other books, 1 essay collection and 1 novel, so I'm probably going to be trying to check those out at some point after I finish this, because I do really like his storytelling and his writing, and it's all very, very good. So what little I do know of that book so far, I would recommend, but it's a lot more graphic than I kind of expected. I didn't realize how much of a focus it was on child abuse, like, in all forms, and it's a little bit hard to read because of that, but it's still, like, so far really, really good. I am still working on Heavy by Kiyase Laymen. The problem with me getting through that, because realistically I should have finished it by now, and I haven't, it's a lot, kind of. Like, I want to be able to, like, pay good attention to it and just, like, sit there and listen to it and really, like, think about it. And usually when I listen to audiobooks is mostly on my overnight shift at work when I'm very tired. So the other night, instead of like listening to that the whole shift, I listened to it for a while and then turned on some music because I was just like too tired to really give it the concentration that I wanted to. And like not in a negative way, it's just I want to be able to think about that book, and I can't always. So that's why it's a little bit slower going for me, but I will probably finish it tonight at work. But I have just finished Still Alice by Lisa Genova. This is a contemporary adult novel about a woman who's diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's when she's 50. And it's about her decline, and like it's told from her perspective. So it's really just like about her decline and how she changes and how her perception of the world changes and her life changes. And it's so heartbreaking and sad and touching, and I loved it. I gave it 4 stars, and I would just highly recommend this book. Like, I thought it was genuinely wonderful. Like, this is just like the perfect book for my reading taste, and it was so well done, and just it made me happy, you know? I mean, like, it made me very sad. I cried, but it's the kind of book that it was just like so lovely, like sad, but sad in like not like an overwhelmingly like I'm depressed reading this kind of way, just sad and like this is a sad situation and these people are making the best of it, and it's, I don't know, it was really enjoyable to read. Like, this I would recommend it. Like, pick it up if you like kind of serious adult contemporaries, because it was great. It was great. Yeah, I have a very long review on Goodreads. I'm trying to do better about like reviewing books on Goodreads. I'm keeping up with my reviews now. Like, every time I finish something, and have for the past few weeks, I have updated it on Goodreads and written the full review. I'm trying to go back to all the books I read in like the previous 6 months and actually review them. It's slow going because I do try to do in-depth reviews, and it's harder because you know, it's been months since I read these books, and especially when they weren't very good, or it was just like, this was a mediocre book, so I don't remember it, you know, 5 months later. But it's also just like time consuming to sit there and write like 5 paragraphs about a book, so I can't do like too many in a day. But I am slowly working on that, and I'm also trying to work on getting back into Instagram some, posting pictures, like nothing too major, because like I was never doing like super artsy beautiful pictures on Instagram anyway. It was mostly just like, here's a quick pic of my cat and the book I'm reading together. But I am trying to do that more, and then responding to comments on YouTube. Those are like the 3 things that I'm working on now to like get into the bookish community again. Haven't quite gotten to like watching videos yet, but I'm hoping that'll be a project for like this week or next week sometime, once I'm like a little more into it. Haven't gotten into filming videos yet either, but again, hopefully in the next few weeks, maybe next month, I'll film something. Apart from my vlogs, obviously. I'm gonna start trying to post videos again and edit videos. It's just, I have a lot of pre-filmed videos, so I can live off of that for a while, and that's fine. And I'm not quite ready to like sit down and film a real video, like do something real, because I feel like that's probably a little bit much for me right now. But eventually, yes, maybe that'll be like a June thing. Like, my June goal can be to like film a book haul, because I have 100 books plus to haul from the past year. And I was asking people about that, and people seem kind of down with just having like one super massive, really long book haul. So I might be doing that. Everyone who commented, not everyone, but most of the people who commented were like, yeah, I would be down for one long haul, but other people might not like it. So I figure if like 4 of the 7 people who responded to me would be down with a long haul, let's do that. That'd be fun. My next read I have picked up from my shelf, because again, trying to read my shelves and not go to the library, partially because pandemic and partially because I need to read my shelves. The Girl on the Velvet Swing, which is a nonfiction history book. It's true crime. It's about, in 1901, a woman was raped, did not tell anyone, told her husband years later, and her husband killed the guy, just like in the middle of the street. Yeah, in front of hundreds of theater goers during a performance at Madison Square Garden. Okay, that's a decision that was made. And apparently it's just like about the trial and the crime and like the aftermath. So it sounds interesting, and it sounds different enough from what I've kind of been reading that like it intrigued me looking at it on my shelf. And I haven't read a physical nonfiction book in a minute because most of my audiobooks are nonfiction, so I've been tending to like not pick up as much physical nonfiction, but I don't know, this just seemed interesting to me, so I'm gonna get into this one, and hopefully it's a good book, because I remember someone mentioned it on BookTube a long time ago, like years ago. I don't remember if they were hauling it or reviewing it or wrapping it up, and I don't remember if their thoughts were positive or negative, but I did remember this book, and I remember thinking it sounded interesting, so hopefully it's a good one. I have finished Heavy by Kiyase Laymen. I don't have super much to say about that one. I kind of wish I'd read it physically rather than listen to the audiobook, because I kept having to like stop it because it felt like I wasn't fully comprehending like everything I wanted to, because it's kind of a dense book, and he talks a lot about like race and his body and body image issues. He had anorexia, and he kind of, that's a good portion of the book, and then racism is another significant section of the book, as well as there's a lot of abuse and sexual abuse. Abuse, physical and sexual, and it's just like, it's very dense, it's very heavy, but it's such a good book, and I would highly recommend it. And I definitely plan to like read more by him, just like maybe pick up the physical editions next time, instead of going straight for like the audiobook, because it was just like a little bit too much for me reading comprehension wise in that format. But today is library day, so that's fun. I had a couple of books that are due. The Project by Courtney Summers, which was 5 stars, it's due today, so I decided to bring it back. And then I'm also bringing back Before She Disappeared by Lisa Gardner, which was 3 stars. Finished both of those a minute ago. I was kind of keeping them just like low-key, like, I might use these physical copies in a wrap-up that I'm filming, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm not there yet. That was kind of wishful thinking. Filming these like short little vloggy clips is kind of like all I can manage right now, filming wise, but eventually I will get into like filming wrap-ups and reviews and stuff again, but perhaps not quite yet. So these are going back to the library, and I am going to allow myself to check out one thing, because it was kind of a rough week, and I don't know, I'm just gonna go in and browse and find something completely random that like I haven't heard of, I haven't read the author before, I haven't like been recommended in any way. Just like find a completely random book I've never heard of before that looks good. That is the plan anyway. We'll see if that actually happens. So that was a very successful library trip. I got 5 things. Meant to get 1, got 5. Very pleased with myself because that was fun. It's been such a long time since I went into the library and just like browsed. So I did find 5 things. 4 were kind of what I was looking for, in that they were completely random and I'd never heard of them before. And then 1 was something I'd actually heard of a minute ago. Yeah, I just saw it and wanted it and was like, I want to read that now. So I'll start with that one, since that's kind of like the outlier here. Also, I know nothing about any of these. And that is Saint X by Alexis Schaitkin. This is about a girl who, I think a high school student who disappears when she's on a trip in the Caribbean. Probably should have looked at this. College age, on a Caribbean vacation. And then her body was found. And I don't know, years later, I guess the younger sister is like, who was my older sister and what really happened that night? And yeah, I think it's like sort of loosely inspired by a real case. I forget which one, I forget the girl's name, but loosely inspired. I saw this when I was working in the bookstore. Like, it was just like on the shelf and I saw it and I was like, that seems vaguely interesting. I'll remember that for when I'm looking for a book like this. And yeah, I just really wanted it. Like, there's no justification here. I just saw it and was like, that's not what I'm looking for. So I left and went to look at other things and I kept thinking about it, so I got it. So we'll be reading this shortly. Excited, even if I don't really remember anything about it anymore. And then on to the 4 things I got that were actually like the very random, just picking up whatever I saw that looked interesting. The first is, let's start with this one, because this is very my kind of book. Wonderland by Jennifer Cody Epstein. This is a historical fiction book about half set in Nazi Germany, half set in the 80s, I believe, about a girl who was left in an orphanage and then picked up by her mother, and kind of about her discovering who her mother was. Like, after her mother's death, she left a letter and was like, I don't know, there are secrets there, and the mother had a friend, and it's about, like, it's simultaneously about, like, her mother and the friend during, like, Germany in the 30s, and then about, like, the 70s or 80s when the daughter, Ava, is kind of, like, growing up, or, you know, not growing up, but, like, an adult. So, yeah, interested in this. It's very much my kind of book. I saw it and was like, that seems chill, so stoked on this one. And then I got, what is this? What We Lose by Zinzi Clemmons. This is also kind of in a similar vein. It's not historical fiction, but it is about a daughter who's now an adult whose mother dies, and it's kind of about her sense of identity and grief and, like, who her mother was and who she is and, like, how the two relate. I don't know. It looked interesting, and I like books that deal with grief. So picked this one up. Can't tell you anything more about it than that, but it looked interesting. And then I got something that was just, like, very outside of my comfort zone, because I was like, why not? And I got Waist Tide by Chen Qiufan. This is a post-apocalyptic sci-fi dystopian thing. It's about, like, waste on Silicon Isle, which is where, like, all the trash goes, and a woman who works there, and then there's also, like, a Chinese American interpreter who's, like, going back to China to, like, rediscover his I don't know why I got this, but I wanted something outside my comfort zone, and I was like, what is more outside my comfort zone than this book? I'm stoked on it, though. It does seem interesting, and I think it's well reviewed. I say that. I know nothing about this book. I just grabbed it randomly off the shelf. It's described as an eco-techno thriller. So, yeah, that definitely sounds like something I would read. Fun. But we'll see. We'll see what I think of this. I'm not expecting to love it, but it would be nice if I, like, enjoyed it as something different. That's kind of my goal with that book. And I like to read things that are outside my comfort zone. And then where's the other book I got? Because I think that was only 4. Oh, this one. The Newlyweds by Nell Freudenberger. This is about a Pakistani Bangladeshi woman who meets a man online, and they fall in love, and she moves to New York to marry him. And it's kind of about, it's just about their relationship and their lives and, like, who they are as people and who they are as a couple and how it works. And I don't know. It just looked potentially really, really interesting. It's kind of a thicker book. I mean, not, like, hugely thick, but it just, like, feels dense. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to this one. It's not, like, romance so much as it is just, like, contemporary, I believe. But this was the one that was kind of just like, ooh, yeah, that's, like, me. So, yeah, I'm stoked on this one. I'm stoked on all of these, actually. I'll probably start with Saint X, just because that was the one that I was like, oh, I'd heard of this. Oh, I want this. Oh, I need this in my life right at this exact moment, even though there's literally no reason for that. But all of these should be very fun. And I say I'm going to start them first. Like, I'm still barely into The Girl in the Velvet Swing. Like, I'm, like, 4 pages into that. Not because it's bad, I just haven't had a moment for reading. I started watching Dawson's Creek instead of reading, which, like, should tell you a lot about how my week's been. But I'm stoked on all 5 of these books, and hopefully they're good. We will see on that. This is gonna be kind of a quick update. I don't want to, like, have a very lengthy discussion here. I'm tired, but I did want to say I started listening to a new audiobook. I forgot to mention this when I said I finished the Kiyase Laymen's Heavy. Finished that, like that, talked about that. I started a new one. It's called Monkey Mind by Daniel Smith. It's about anxiety. Like, it's his memoir about anxiety. And I think I'm going to DNF it. I'm, like, halfway through. And it's a humorous memoir. And when you don't find a humorous memoir funny, like, not that it's actively bad, it's just, like, I'm so picky on funny things because I do have a sense of humor. It's just I don't find a lot of other people funny when they're trying to be. And I really don't like that book. I find him very annoying, and I usually listen to audiobooks on my overnight shifts, and I don't have one this week, which means I've got more than a week until my next overnight, and I haven't listened to this book since my last overnight, so I just think I'm gonna DNF it. I don't DNF books frequently, but I am much more keen to DNF when it's an audiobook. It's a lot easier for me to just be like, I don't care. So I'm not like 100% decided on that, but I'm probably gonna DNF it, which, like, I wouldn't say don't read the book. Like, I wouldn't in any way call it like a bad book or something. It's just not for me, and I just find him or his writing style or whatever annoying, and I don't find him funny. And I'm sure if you get along with his sense of humor, the book's probably fine, but there's nothing there for me. And I did finish, what's it called? The Girl in the Velvet Swing, which I don't want to talk about right now because I have things to say on that book. I gave it 3 stars, but I have things to say. And I'm too tired to get into that now. And it's been like several days since I finished. It's been like a week almost. So I do need to just like sit down and talk about it. I'm just so tired. I work so much. And then after I finish that, my next clip will be me discussing that because I want to like sit down and have things to say. And the other thing I started Saint Eggs by Shakin. Alexis Schaitkin. One of the main characters' names is Emily, or like she goes by Emily, so that's a valid mistake. This is about a girl whose older sister was killed on a Caribbean island when her family was on vacation. The sister was like 18, she was like 7 or 8, and it's kind of about her growing up and like her dealing with it, and it's very different from what I expect. Ignore my book light. I read at night sometimes. So by read at night, I mean I read 5 pages before I fall asleep at night. It's different than what I was expected. It's a lot more literary in terms of like writing style. I was expecting more of like a thriller, like, drama vibe, and it's definitely more like artsy kind of. So that was an adjustment going in. Like the first 3 pages I read, I was like, oh no, I don't know how I feel about this. And I was like, oh no, this is actually really nice. So yeah, and then it kind of changed from that. It was like this weird distance, like instead of talking about like the characters in like a very close way, you know, like books do, like you get to know them and they feel like very close to you. It would talk and be like, oh, a father is doing this on his vacation, instead of like getting close to the characters, which was, it took a bit of getting used to, but then I did and I really liked it. Only then, like in the second part, it changed into first perspective with the younger sister, and I assume it's going to be like that for the rest of the book. So that was also an adjustment. I'm still adjusting to that one, and I think it was a little bit jarring on both counts, but I am really, really liking this, which you can't tell because I'm only like a little bit in. I'm like 50 pages in, but I like it so much. I just want to be able to sit down and read it, and I'm just too tired, but I will. I wanted to let y'all know that I was doing things because I don't remember the last time I updated. It's been a minute, and work is a lot, and I need to talk about the other book that I can't even remember right now, but not today, maybe tomorrow. I did promise an eventual update where I talked about The Girl in the Velvet Swing by Simon Baatz. So here that is. Before I talk about that, I just want to like say I have no other real updates to say on my reading. I haven't been reading the past couple days, which is fine. Haven't made progress on Saint X, which I have right here. I will. I like it so far. I will say it's gotten a little bit pretentious. Maybe a little bit like overly pretentious, but we'll see. That might have just been like one passage, and I'm still like not very far in. And I did decide to DNF Monkey Mind, so I don't know. Not a bad book, just not for me. So that being said, let's talk about The Girl on the Velvet Swing. Oh, I have it here. I should hold it so I don't have to edit it in later because that's annoying. The Girl on the Velvet Swing. Okay. I don't remember what I've said about this book before because it's been a minute and I finished this like a week ago, and I haven't written my Goodreads review just because I have thoughts and I'm tired. So basically, this is a nonfiction book it's a true crime nonfiction book about a woman who was raped in the early 1900s, like 1905 or 6 or something. And then several years later, she got married and told her husband that she had been raped as a teenager. And her husband shot and killed the rapist in front of like a crowded theater with many witnesses. And yes, both her husband and the rapist were very rich, well-known individuals, so it was a big story. She was an actress on stage. She was a dancer, I think. I don't know. Yeah, that's essentially the gist of this book. I will say the positives first. 4 stars, you know? I was gonna give it 4 stars all the way through this book because it was well-researched, well-written. It reminded me of Erik Larson in the way that he kind of constructed all the details, and just like it was so incredibly detailed and just so like rich with like the setting and the backstory, and it was like you kind of got every aspect of the situation like Erik Larson does, and that's what I really enjoy about Erik Larson. I don't think this was necessarily like quite as good as Erik Larson stuff, but also like it gave me a very similar vibe, and I enjoyed that. And I was set to give this 4 stars because I was like, yeah, great book, would recommend it. So I read the book, agreed with that, read the epilogue, agreed with that, and then I got to the afterword. And I don't know if I've ever gotten all the way to the afterword before when I changed my mind on my rating. Like, I don't know if it's ever been that long, because usually I can tell you in like the first couple of chapters what I'm gonna rate a book. Like, obviously it will change if like something about the book changes, but like I can normally tell if I'm liking something, if I'm liking the writing style, and I'm usually fairly accurate. Like 50 pages in, I generally know what I'm rating it. And I got to the afterword, and the author in the afterword was basically like, yeah, no, none of this was true. None of this is proven. This might not have happened. And I was like, what? Like, you can't. Okay, the situation, according to the afterword, which was not mentioned at any other point in this book, not in an introduction, not in the epilogue, not like during the book itself. Evelyn Nesbitt, who was this girl, she's kind of like the main character of the book, if you want to like talk about it like that. She recanted the rape accusation. She later said that her husband manipulated her into saying it to cover up for his murder of the guy, and that the man who had raped her had not actually raped her, and they'd had a consensual relationship, and he was a great, like, I don't know, father figure to her. I don't know. And she was like, oh yeah, he was a great man, like he never would have done this, like this was all a lie. And which is not to say that the rape didn't occur. And that was the point of the afterword, was that he was like, yeah, it can't be proven either way, like this is one of those things that history will never know. Like, she said one thing, she said it in very graphic detail, her story seemed right, and then, you know, in a memoir 40 years later she said a different thing, and it's like her husband also might have been a bad influence. He was very manipulative. He was very abusive, which was not really discussed super much in the book itself. It was kind of whatever. And then it got to the afterward, and he was like, oh yeah. And in her memoir, she said her husband like abused her and threatened to kill her if she didn't say the right things. And it was a lot to throw on the reader at the very, very end of a book after you've like read an entire book on a subject, just to be like, oh yeah, by the way, none of this might have happened. We don't really know. Sorry, hope you enjoyed. And it's not that I really so much take offense at like that principle, you know, because you can write a book about a historical thing that like we're not certain on, like that's fine. You can even like do it with the assumption that like, oh hey, I'm writing this book with the assumption that this thing that they said happened actually happened, and kind of go from there. Like, you can do that well. My problem was that this was never mentioned until the freaking afterward. Like, why would you wait so long? Like, it wouldn't have bothered me had that been, you know, the introduction, or had it been just a part of the story itself. Like, he was just discussing this throughout the book, like, oh yeah, she later recanted, or like, or just at the very beginning of the book said, there's a lot of question on whether or not this happened, or what really did happen. And because pretty much everyone involved in this is dead by now, you know, I mean, everyone, it was like 1906, we're never going to 100% know the truth. I am writing this book with the assumption that the rape did occur. The end. Start the book. I'd have been fine with that. That wouldn't have bothered me at all. I would have been like, interesting. It's just jarring. At the end of a book, I feel like I've been lied to, you know? And it's like, I can't, because I'm done with the book. Like, that was my last experience with the book. It was the afterword. It was just like, yeah, and JK, this all might not have happened at all. Like, what? I found that really unpleasant. Like, that was just, I don't know. Like, what if I hadn't read the afterword? Because, like, I don't always. Depends on, like, how relevant it seems to the story itself of the book. Like, I don't so much care about, like, acknowledgements or, like, research information or whatever, which is sometimes what it is. But, like, I did read it. Not everyone would have. Like, I can't imagine getting through this book and not reading about, like, oh, hey, yeah, this might not have happened. Like, that seems like a pretty important part of the story that was just, like, left out, and I felt very misled throughout this entire book, and it dropped my rating down to 3 stars. Like, I thought about giving it 2, but I do think that's disingenuous, because I did really enjoy the book up until that point, and it's not that I really do feel lied to, because, again, I am okay if he, like, wrote the book with the assumption that the rape did occur. Like, okay, that's a valid choice to make in writing a nonfiction book. It's just, he didn't disclose it early on, and that's something I very much expect to be disclosed early on in the book, you know, or, like, during the story itself, like, discuss that, oh, hey, like, this might not have happened, instead of the whole book was written as though it was fact. And then the afterword was like, yeah, no, JK, sorry about that. And I'm not a fan of that. Like, that made me not want to read anything else by him, just even though this book was really good, and I would recommend it if you go into it knowing that. Like, if you go into this book knowing that the writer is just assuming that the rape occurred, and he's writing this book with the facts and everything, just under the assumption that the rape did in fact occur, I think it's a good book. I think it's really well done. It's really well researched. Like, he obviously did tons and tons of research. It's not like it's just, like, his opinions on everything. It was just not disclosing that information really did make me feel lied to, like, completely, like, this whole book. And it ruined the experience for me. And I just, so disappointed by that. I am still giving it 3 stars because I did think it was a well done book. Apart from that, you know, and it's hard to be like, I don't know. I thought about dropping it down to 2, but I do think 3 is the right rating because I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it if you know that going in. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm so disappointed by that. Like, it's just like it's just like a freaking plot twist at the end of the book. Like, JK, that book didn't actually happen. And it's kind of like ending a novel with, and then he woke up from the dream, and it's like, what? Like, I don't know. I'm so mad about this. I have so many feelings, and just all of them, like, negative and bitter, and, like, I don't know. But it was worth the read. Like, that's the thing. At the end of the day, it was so worth the read, and it was so interesting and just, like, intricate and in depth and, like, oh, so lovely in so many ways. And then just that ruined it. But okay. That was basically my thoughts on that. Yeah, I don't know. I have to write my Goodreads review for that, and I know it's going to be a thing because I have feelings, and it's so much more effort, energy, whatever, to write a Goodreads review when you have a lot of feelings and you have to, like, make them seem coherent, because I'm sure that whole, like, 10-minute rant was not coherent, but, like, that's fine. Oh, well. Beyond that, I did stop by my parents' house just to pick up some books since I'm now allowed in, since we're all fully vaccinated. I'm not really going to go through them because, like, these are my books. This isn't a book haul. They're just brought from my collection, but I have a big bag of books. They're mostly Fearless books, which, if you don't know what Fearless is, this Francine Pascal wrote this whole big, long, like 50 book, whatever, YA series about a girl born without the fear gene. I loved these when I was a kid, and I never got to like read it the way I wanted, because they're the kind of books that you can't read out of order or you'll get very confused. Like, I tried, like me, my little 11-year-old self was trying to read these books out of order, and I'd read something that was like 6 books later in the series and I'd be like, wait, her father has an evil twin brother and her father's not dead? What? Like, I don't know. It's like one of those series, and I've been slowly collecting them, and I have more when I haul books. I'm gonna do a giant book haul at some point of like 100 books. I have some of those, and I wanted to move my collection here. And then there are like a couple other random books in there, but it's like, I think there are like 2 other books, and the rest of that bag is Fearless books, which tells you how many books are in that series, because this isn't even like all of them. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this update. It's been a long update. I had a lot of thoughts on The Girl in the Velvet Swing, which, I do recommend. It was just like, that's a hell of a way to end a book. But yeah, I'm gonna do this vlog through the end of, I was about to say June, the end of May, which is in a few days. So hopefully I'll finish Saint X by the end of May, and then I don't know what my June reading plans are. I'm still trying to figure out those and see if I want to do something fun with them. So today we have, ooh, that's bad lighting. We have a little bit of a project that I'm working on. That is bookish related, hence why it's in the vlog, although to be honest, I could have anything in this vlog and I don't really care, because it's my channel, it's my vlog, I'll do what I want. But this is actually booktube bookish related. As you can see behind me, my lovely bookshelves, not so neat, not so clean. I have a tendency to just dump crap on them that I don't really need, that I'm just lazy and don't feel like finding a home for. Just little knickknacks go on there. Yeah, so it does make it kind of difficult to like want to sit down in front of my bookshelves and film when like you can't actually see most of the books. It's all just junk. So today I'm working on cleaning them up a little. And also my chair, my filming chair that's like in front of the bookshelves, is my clothes chair. I'm sure we all relate to the clothes chair that you just dump your clothes on. So today is Wednesday, I think. I'm like 90% certain it's Wednesday, May 20 something, 5th. Let's say it's the 25th. I'm pulling random numbers out. Or the 26th, something like that. It's Wednesday. I'm off today, thank God. But I'm off. I'm also off on Friday, and I would like to potentially, maybe, contemplate filming a video on Friday. And not like a vlog video, but like a sit down with my camera, set up my little ring light in front of my shelves, and have a nice, real video. So, not 100% on that yet, but I do want to get my shelves kind of cleaned up, just so like if I do decide to do that, I can, and not just need to like do an hour of tidying first, because if I have to do an hour of tidying before I film, I'm never going to film. We shall see. So I'm gonna get started on that, and I will show you what progress I have done, potentially, if any. And would you look at that? Progress has been made. I did a little bit of reorganization of the books themselves. I put on, I don't know if you can see, all the way down here. Oops. My Fearless books. This is a bad angle. I need to not do this in selfie mode. I got my Fearless books all set up down there because I brought them back from my parents' house the other day, and I wanted to put them on the bookshelf. So now they fit. There's still some space, but it's looking a little bit more full, which is kind of concerning because I have like 100 books to haul that are not on these shelves, but we'll see. Mostly I did get all the clutter cleared off. Like there's some stuff that I put on the top there that you can see, and a lot of it just got moved to like separate places and like its own home where it should have been all along. But for right now, it's looking nice, and it's looking like I could actually, you know, film in front of these. They look all pretty. Ignore like the dimness because the light doesn't actually shine over here, but like, you know, imagine there was light over here. Just imagine. But I am happy with my progress. There's not really much junk on them, like the shelves themselves at all anymore, so that's good. Still a few clothes on my clothes chair, but like that's never going to completely go away because I don't have tons of space here, so I don't really have tons of space to put my clothes. So basically my work clothes are always going to live on that chair, which is fine. The bulk of the clothes have gone, the bulk of the clutter on the shelves have gone, and that's pretty much what my goal was today. It only took me about an hour, moving slowly, you know. It would have taken me less time if I'd actually just like done it hardcore, but you know, that's good. I'm quite pleased. The one thing I did run into a problem with, which is my shoes. I don't know how to store my shoes, which is not a booktube related problem. It's not really related to this at all, except for the fact that I have 3 pairs of shoes on the bottom shelf of my bookshelf just because I don't know where else to put them. But I have a lot of like boots and like 6-inch heels, and they're very difficult to store. So they just wind up like sitting on my floor, taking up a lot of space, which is a lot considering I live in a small apartment. But let me know if you have boots and how you store them, because I have yet to figure that one out. But yes, I'm pleased, and maybe, potentially, possibly a little bit, I might consider filming in a few days. We'll see. I have actually made some decent progress on Saint X, which I'm still really enjoying. Getting close to the end here. I'm like 2/3 of the way through probably. It's amazing how much progress you make when I spend my work breaks reading instead of watching Dawson's Creek. I do miss Dawson's Creek, but I should probably focus on reading for a minute, since that's the actual productive thing that makes me feel better about myself, whereas watching Dawson's Creek is just, that's certainly a show that I rather enjoy. But yeah, I do like this quite a lot. It's fun. Like, I mean, fun's a weird word for it. It's very pretentious. Like, I said that earlier on, I think, that like some of the passages were a little pretentious, and maybe that was just like a temporary thing. It's not. This is a very pretentious book. Like, if you're someone who tends to be bothered by any pretension, I would probably steer clear of this, but I am not bothered. I really enjoy it. I think it's fun. I think it's really interesting. It's also just like so slow. Like, really nothing has happened so far in this book, and I love it. Like, I just love when nothing happens ever, and it's just like the character's internal journey into their nothingness, and I enjoy it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to, like, hopefully I'll finish it this weekend. I'd like to finish today's Saturday, the 28th. Or 9th. Something. I'd like to finish it by the end of the month. Just to, like, I don't know. It doesn't really matter because I'm not filming wrap-ups yet. I'm not filming anything. So, like, really nothing matters at all. I would just like to have it finished by the end of the month. Apart from that, nothing else is really going on reading-wise because this is all I'm working on. I'm trying to think of what else to say, because I had things to say and then I started filming and it all just went blank. My reading plans for next month. I wanted to join a readathon. Like, I just really randomly, I don't really understand what reason, wanted desperately to join a readathon. So I asked people for suggestions and people gave me some, and I did some more research and looked at other ones, and it's just like, every time I looked at one, even if it was like a very low-key, there were like 4 prompts readathons, it was still just like utterly overwhelming for me to look at, like, oh, like I gotta like decide to do this and then find books for the prompts and then like do it and vlog it and sign up and like join a team maybe, or like do other things, and it was just too much. Like, I don't know, everything I looked at just like looked like way too much, even the things that were clearly not too much. So I don't know, like, I want to do something fun like that, or like a TBR game or something, but everything I looked at so far just seemed like it was too involved for where I am right now, which is barely existing. So I don't know if you have any suggestions for things that would be fun but also like very, very chill and laid back. Let me know, because I would like to do something fun next month. I don't know. Didn't film yesterday like I kind of wanted to. I went to the batting cages instead, which was probably more fun for me. I'll try to film something this week. I want to start filming my wrap-ups from my backlist of wrap-ups. Just like go through every month that I missed, which is starting from like, I don't know, last spring or summer when I stopped keeping up with them. I'd like to catch up. So film those, and then hopefully, I mean, not all of them, obviously, film like one, maybe, see how it goes, and eventually would like to catch up on those, because I don't know, I know it doesn't really matter, but I feel weird just like skipping a year's worth of wrap-ups and just going with where I am now, when like I have a list of the books, like I have all the books that I read. I still have to finish Goodreads reviews for them, but like I have all my Goodreads reviews done through like October or November or something. I just have to like finish all the ones since then, although I've made good progress. I should keep working on that, because I'd like to get that done, and then I can update my reading journal, and then I can like really hardcore go in on filming wrap-ups, maybe. Yeah, we'll see. It's easier to make plans than it is to like execute them at this point, but I would like to start executing at least a few more plans. It's June 2nd, but it is time for me to wrap up the May vlog. I don't have super much to wrap up here, but I did want to talk about Saint X. I finished this on May 31st, so I did get it done by the end of the month, and I gave it 4 stars. I did really enjoy it. It was a good book, solid book. Kind of pretentious, but like, I've rarely minded a little bit of pretension in my books, so that was fine by me. I think my biggest issue was that it felt like it kind of lacked a little bit of cohesion. It was very jarring throughout the book, and I think some of it was good, because some of it, like, it did bounce around a lot, like intentionally, and it was trying to do a lot of things, and I think it successfully did a lot of those things, but I think it felt almost like the story itself needed like one more like revision. Like the writing was good, the characters were great, like everything, like it was really well done. It just like, if the story had been worked over like one more time, just to be like a little bit more cohesive and a little bit more like complete almost. I don't know. It just, I feel like it was lacking just like a little bit for me, but it was really good. And this was her debut novel, and it's the kind of thing where like, I probably won't remember her, but if I do and I see another of her books, I would 100% pick it up, which is probably not like the most glowing endorsement of a book, but like, if I remember her, sure, I'll pick up another one of her books, because this was good, and I feel like she gave me the vibe that she's the kind of author who would probably get better, you know? Like this was her first book, and each book would just be like a little bit more well crafted, and this was already like really good. Like I really enjoyed it. So yeah, it was solid. I am glad I picked this up. I haven't started another physical book, and I started my audiobook on June 1st, so I'm not going to talk about that here. The only other thing I wanted to say was that I did talk a little bit about my reading plans for June and wanting to do something fun, and I think I did figure out something that I could maybe do. I have reading, I don't know, like I don't know how to describe it, but like things like reading the lowest rated books on my TBR and stuff like that. There were a couple of those that I had planned to do at one point, like had never like gotten around to it, but kind of like wrote them down and figured out the books for them. So I might try to pick one of those and like sit down and do that. Maybe not like entirely in June, but like get it started in June. Because I do just have like a couple of those ideas. Like, you know, people do like 5-star predictions and stuff like that. Like I have a couple of those ideas, so that might be like a fun thing to do. But also like kind of low-key and like not overwhelming. Ideally, it would just mean like I would have a TBR of like 5 books whenever I planned that. But I don't know, that might be something I do as I'm like slowly getting into booktubing again. But as for this vlog, that's it. It's been I don't even remember. A slow reading month? A fast reading month? I'm sure I read some things. The only thing I remember at this point is Saint X. So, it's been a good month though. Getting back into booktubing just a little bit, and hopefully every month will just be a little bit more. So, as always, thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see y'all again soon.